Hola, vamos a empezar. Y buenos días, Richard, buenos días también, sí.
Días.
¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo están todos? ¿Cómo están? How are you guys?
¿Bien? ¿Está bien?
¿Bien? Estamos bien.
bien.
We are well. Estamos bien. Todos estamos bien. Okay, fantástico. We're going to do, for openers, we're going to do a quick, like 3-minute dictado. Super short, just to kind of remind us about the whole number thing. Ustedes necesitan un papel, que no importa, ¿sí? Una pluma, un lápiz, algo fácil. We're just going to do a quick dictado to open up. After that, we're going to do a quick overview of ser, estar again, because we're going to keep incorporating it. And actually, we'll talk about ser and estar and tener and hay, all of those kind of lumped together. And then we're going to launch into a lot of la casa stuff. So if you have a little description prepared for, how many houses you have, how many bedrooms, any kind of description, it doesn't have to be long. You may want to hunt for that if you printed it and left it to the side. Okay.
According to la casas.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Okay. And if you didn't prepare something, don't worry about it. No te preocupes. Don't worry about it, because we've got things on screen we're going to use. Okay. I'm going to give you a little dictado, and it's going to be a combination of 2-digit and 3-digit numbers. Okay, we're not going to get into thousands. Okay, and it's just for listening. See, práctica de escucha, listening practice. So I'm going to say each number 3 times, because it really does take about 3 times of listening to get it. And let's see how many of these you get. Okay, número uno. Número uno es 25. 25. 25. Vale, ok, vale. Número 2. 49. 49. 49. Bien. Número 3. 58. 58. 58. Bien. Número 4. 72. 72. 72. Número 5. 93. 93. 93. Bien. Ok. Número 6. 115. 115. 115. Número 7. 155. 155. 155. Bien. Número 8. 230. 230. 230. Número 9. 366. 366. 366. Y número 10, el último, the last one, el último número es 580. 580. 580. ¿Sí? ¿Ok? Vale. Y vamos a ver los números aquí. Vamos a ver cuáles son. We're going to see what they are. And your goal is to get at least 6 or 7 out of those 10 as you hear them. Okay? 25, 49, 58, 72, 93, 115, 155, 230, 366, 580. Bien, bien, bien.
Bien.
Okay. Okay. Vale, bueno, okay. And, just keep working them. And you'll hear various numbers again as we move on. Okay. I want to open next with a little explanation. It's all in Spanish, so kind of go with the flow. But it's a great little video. It's going to talk about three of the 4 verbs we're going to start mixing once we get into la casa. Okay. The 4 really important verbs that you need to know right now are ser, in its form, soy, eres, es, somos, son. Estar, estoy, estás, está, estamos, están. I, which only exists as I. That's it. Okay. And we're going to talk a little more at the tail end here for descriptions about that verb tener, because we're going to start to use tener more with la casa to say how many houses you have, or whether you have a sofa, or, I have a sofa that's brown or whatever, right? Okay. And tener, of course, has many forms of tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tienen. Okay, yeah. But I is the one that does not change form because it only talks about existence. So this little video is going to talk about 3 of those 4. It's going to talk about ser, estar, and I. I only says that things are out there. Okay, so he's going to use the example of talking about a city and ways that we'll use estar to talk about where things are located, to talk about a city, versus ser to talk about what the city is actually like. Okay. Versus I to just say, here's the stuff that's around the city. Okay. If you've ever had French, I is very much like il y a. Yeah, there are. If you ever had French, they have the same kind of setup, except it's a different set of words, of course. And in Spanish, it's just I. So you're going to hear him giving examples of how they're used. Okay. And I will stop at a few points where it's kind of, and he'll have probably a couple things we'll kind of zoom through fast because they may not be important, but I'll give you the link so you can watch it again later, because hearing it in context helps you to know, oh, we use estar to talk about location. Oh, we use ser and its forms to talk about describing what things are really like, characteristics, in other words. And I, just to say that stuff is out there. So let's see how he uses it in context.
Sergi Martín y estoy de vacaciones en la
I'm on
República
vacation
Checa.
in the
Hoy
Czech
vamos a
Republic.
aprender cómo describir una ciudad usando 3 verbos muy importantes.
We're going to learn how to describe a city using 3 very important verbs.
Haber, ser
Haber,
y estar.
ser, estar. Haber is where I comes from. It's the infinitive that I comes from, okay? And I doesn't look very much like haber at all. Okay, so we'll get through kind of the silly dancing. He does that for fun. which is okay. Yeah.
Podemos describir la ciudad
We can describe the city where
donde estoy ahora.
Where I
Right.
am now. I am now. Location. ¿Dónde está ahora? Clave. Ay, no puedo pronunciar. I can't even pronounce that.
Kralove de una forma muy sencilla. En Hradec Králové hay iglesias.
In Hradec, in this place in Czech, in la ciudad, in the city,
Right.
there are churches. They just
Mm.
exist. Yeah. We use I just to say stuff is out there.
Hay hoteles y restaurantes.
There are hotels
Mhm.
and
Restaurant.
we just say,
Restaurants.
yeah, this stuff is around. I'm not
Okay.
saying where it's located, just that it's out there, right? I is just used for existence.
Hay farmacias.
There are
Hay
pharmacies.
museos.
There are museums
Usamos hay del verbo
We
haber
use I
para hablar de la
to
existencia de
talk about the
cosas.
existence of things.
Hradec Králové no es muy famosa, pero es interesante.
It's not, he's talking about the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really very famous, but it's interesting. It's interesting. It's famous. Ser talks about characteristics. Okay. And you can say it talks about things that are permanent characteristics, which is okay. That's not like really, some people disagree that that's a great way to describe it, but in general parlance, yeah, things that would be difficult to change, okay, you know, characteristics, the way something really is. We use ser to identify what things are.
Es una ciudad histórica
It's an
y es
historic
bastante
city.
bonita.
It's
Usamos
pretty,
es
it's
del
very
verbo
pretty.
ser para describir las cosas.
We use ser to describe things, but to describe things that are more of a hard to change nature. Yeah, things that are really identifying characteristics. Okay, that's why we use ser.
La iglesia está en la plaza, que está en el centro de la ciudad.
He's talking about where these things are. It's in the plaza. It's in the center of the city. Centro means either center or downtown area. Está en el centro. And notice we use está quite often with that little word en. Is in. Oh, that little word en, which is pretty close to our English word in, right? Está
Mhm.
en. Those pair up a lot to talk about location. So just notice that. Está en.
Usamos está del verbo estar
Use está
para localizar las cosas.
To locate
En la
things.
República Checa hay una ciudad
There
que
is a
es
city
bastante interesante
that is quite
y que está
interesting,
en el este del
and
país.
that's in the east of the country. Okay.
¿Y tú? ¿Cómo describes tu ciudad? Puedes compartirlo más abajo.
How do you describe your city? But that gives a good in context little mini tour of how in context we use that, because for if you feel like it's really confusing for me to know when I use ser and when I use estar, and now I got this thing okay, that is a normal thing to be confused about, because you know the situations in which we use those are different. So let's look a little bit at ser estar, and we're going to look at examples, because the way you best learn this is through examples. Okay. The more examples you see, the easier it becomes. And we'll start to blend these once we get to la casa. Okay. Ser, you can all see my big screen, right? See? Yeah.
Yes.
Ser is the essence. It's the core. Yeah. It identifies what or who somebody is, what something is, or what that person or thing is really like. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Estar is really where we get the English word state from that Latin term way long ago, the toga-wearing era. And it talks about how you feel or where you are. Okay. It talks about health, feelings, emotions, where stuff is located. Okay. So let's look at some examples. I'm going to talk about who they are. I need ser. Son Jorge Clooney y su esposa Amal. They are,
Husband and
George,
wife.
Famous.
yeah, George Clooney and his wife. Son famosos. They are
Famous.
famous. And we're going to start to preview what it means to use adjectives, the describing words. Famosos goes into a plural form because I'm not talking about one person being famous, but both of them. I need an
Mhm.
S at the end to say plural, just like I did with the nouns. You know, casa, casas. Yeah. Silla, chair, sillas. Yeah, I do the same thing with the adjectives. Son famosos. Amal es bella y morena. Amal is beautiful and brunette. Morena. And es bella y morena, that's what she's really like. All right. Es inteligente porque es abogada. She's intelligent because she's a lawyer. Intelligent describes what she's really like, a characteristic. Okay. She's not likely to turn into a dingy person. Yeah. Intelligence is considered a permanent characteristic. Okay. Es abogada, what she does for a living, she's a lawyer. Profession. Okay. Jorge es actor. George is
Everything.
an actor. Es muy famoso. He's very famous.
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 Los dos, the two of them, los dos están contentos. How they feel.
Happy. Yeah.
They're happy. Y su casa está en Italia. Their house is in
Italy.
Italy. Wow, I wish I had that life. Okay. Look at some of the other things we might use to describe George. Es norteamericano. Es un hombre norteamericano. Es estadounidense. That's another word for norteamericano. Actually, estadounidense, I like better. That is a better word for United States citizen. We need 3 words in English for that. Good God. I know we say American, but Latin Americans do not really like it when we use americano. The Spaniards don't mind that so much, but the Latin Americans do not like that. So estadounidense or norteamericano is better. Oh, es canoso. I'm talking about his hair color. He is
Great.
gray-haired. Es atractivo. He's attractive. Oh, and now I can't say he is a beard because he's not a beard, right? But he has a
Yes.
beard. Oh, I'm going to use tener. Tiene una barba. Tiene una barba. He's got a
Beard.
beard. Okay, let's talk about a different person. Let's look at how we use ser. Ooh. Es el líder político del Canadá. He is the political
Political leader.
of Canada. Se llama Justin Trudeau.
Name is Justin Trudeau.
His name is Justin Trudeau. Es canadiense. He is
I'm Canadian.
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 Mhm.
Nationalities, talk about origin, has to be said, right? I can't change where I was born. I mean, that's permanent. Okay, so where are we born? Es joven y guapo. He's young and
Young and handsome.
good looking, yeah. Oh, now I might say he has black hair. Tiene el pelo negro. Pelo is hair. Tiene, he has. Tiene el pelo negro. Right? I can't
Mhm.
say he is black hair. Tiene.
Right.
he has. Yeah,
Yes.
tiene el pelo negro. So you start to see how we're going to weave tener in there sometimes, right? Está en Ottawa.
He's in Ottawa.
He's in Ottawa. He's located there right now. Okay. Está en la capital del Canadá.
The capital.
Capital.
He's in the capital of Canada. Okay, bien, bien, vale. Let's talk about somebody else. And I want you to start to notice what happens with all the descriptions of this lady. Because she's a lady, because she is a female, we have to use feminine words. This is a preview to get you used to that idea. Se llama Sofía Vergara. Her name is Sofía Vergara, ¿sí? Es colombiana. She's
Colombian.
Colombian. Okay, that's where she's from originally. Es delgada, slim, slender. She's
Oh, okay.
thin. Y muy cómica.
Funny.
Funny, yeah.
To say funny, I could say cómica or graciosa. So
Okay.
those are two words that both mean comical, funny, amusing. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about what she does for a living. Es actriz en un programa de la televisión.
Actress in television.
She's an actress.
In
Yeah.
television program.
Sí. Now I'm going to talk about where she is. Está en Los Ángeles
She's in Los
She is
Angeles.
in Los Angeles.
para trabajar, to work, en su programa de la tele. She's in
program.
On
LA
a television show, yeah.
in order to work on her
Television show.
TV show.
Sí, TV show. TV, la tele. It's a shortened word instead of la televisión, la tele, TV. Okay, bien. Okay. Bien. Se llama Salma Hayek.
Yes.
Her name is.
Her name is,
Her name is.
Ella es mexicana.
she's Mexican.
See, and you know what? You already know we're talking about Salma, so I'm going to take out the ella now because people will do this. Es de Mexico.
Mhm.
She's from
Mexico.
Es de Mexico. I could have said es mexicana like I did in the top one, but es de, she's from. So when you hear
Mhm.
from, it still means origin, okay? Es morena. She is, I'm talking about this.
Brunette.
Brunette.
She's
Yeah.
brunette. Okay. Ella es actriz.
She's an actress.
An actress.
She's an actress. I'm going to get rid of my ella because I don't really need it anymore. Está en Los Ángeles. Está en el estudio. She's in the
Studio.
studio. Está con el director de su película. She's with, con means with. She's with the
Director.
director of her
Movie.
Movie.
Eso es, sí. So sometimes, está con, if you're with, it's still talking about location in a way. It's talking about who she's with, yeah, okay. Now I'm going to talk about her family. Tiene dos hijos. She has
She has.
two
2 kids.
kids.
Mhm.
Tiene un esposo muy rico.
Huh.
She has a very rich husband.
Oh. Muy
Tiene
rico.
un esposo muy rico. Su esposo, el esposo de Salma Hayek es millonario.
Oh.
Es millonario francés. He is a French millionaire. Es la verdad,
Ah.
sí. Sí, el esposo de Salma es de Francia. Es un francés muy rico. Okay, bien. Let's look at what
Very
happens.
rich.
Yeah, let's talk about look at what happens when I talk about maybe more than one person. Ellos son actores famosos.
They are famous.
They are a famous actor.
Sí. 3 son ingleses.
3 are English.
3 are English. Son de Inglaterra. They're from
England.
England. And notice we capitalize countries.
Ah.
Italia, Inglaterra, Francia, Mexico, Estados Unidos. We capitalize countries, but we do not capitalize nationalities.
Huh.
Okay. Okay, just notice that. You know. Un hombre es de Australia.
One is from Australia. Or
One man is from
And it's
Australia.
From Australia.
Él es también cantante. También means also.
He is also
La, 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 la.
cantante. Oh, a
Singer?
singer.
Singer.
Oh.
He is also a singer. Sí.
Enta.
Hugh Jackman es actor y es cantante. ¿Sí?
Yeah, Broadway.
Ok. Ellos están en California. Ellos tienen proyectos en California. They have
Projects.
projects in California. Okay. Okay.
Ellos tienen.
Vale. Bien, bien, bien. We could also talk about plural. Ooh. El hombre a la izquierda. To the left. El hombre a la izquierda, to the left, es Roger Federer, ¿sí?
Yeah.
Roger es famoso. Roger es tenista.
Tennis player.
Roger es gran campeón.
Grand
The
champion.
champion.
He's a great champion. Él es muy rico.
He's got a few bucks.
Es de Suiza.
Oh, he's from.
Es de
he's Swiss.
Suiza.
Switzerland.
He's from Switzerland.
Huh.
El hombre a la derecha, to the right,
On the right.
es Rafa Nadal. ¿Sí? Rafa
Rafael.
es un apodo. Rafa es a nickname Rafael, pero Rafa es Rafa Nadal. Es famoso y rico. Es de España.
Right.
From Spain.
He's famous in
He's from Spain.
También es campeón. He's also.
also
Champion.
Champion.
Sí. Now, when I talk about the two of them together, I can't use S anymore. I need to make it plural.
okay.
Ellos son tenistas.
They're
Son
tennis-
tenistas famosos.
famous tennis players.
They're
They are.
famous tennis. And notice for tennis player, I could say jugadores de tenis, but it's often ista. Yeah. Like you'll hear football, soccer, futbolistas. Soccer players. Yeah. So ista is sometimes used for that profession. Son tenistas famosos. Son europeos. They are.
Europeans.
Sí. Están en un torneo. They're at a
Tournament.
Tournament.
torneo es tournament. And you'll notice sometimes I try to use a lot of cognates, words that kind of you might be able to guess from an English word you already know. Están en un estadio grande. They're in a big
Oh,
Stadium.
stadium. Sí. Están en el estadio de Wimbledon.
Mhm.
They're in the Wimbledon Stadium.
They're in the Wimbledon
Yeah.
Stadium. Bien? Okay.
Mhm.
So I could say Rafa Nadal tiene una raqueta. He has a racket, you know.
That's right. Mhm.
A lot of things I can use, but I just wanted to show you that to give you a feel for how those are going to mix, depending on if we talk about telling what they do, where they're from, who they are, al ser, or where they are, how they feel, estar. Okay? Yeah.
You know, it seems like it'd be, for me right now, easier to read and understand than if I try to say all that in a normal conversation, trying to, catch up with the, the Sarah and the star. Yeah,
Mhm.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. If I'm reading, and I can take a second and kind of, digest it, where if I try to talk like that.
Yeah, so I'm
Whatever.
gonna send you this whole set because I've got other people. I talk about the Pope. We talk about Macron and Angela, well, yeah, okay. So some of these people are not really working at those jobs anymore, but you'll see a whole bunch of, I have more examples. So part of what I would like you to do when I send you this file is, just check out all those descriptions and notice how we use said, how we use estar. Just notice that. Okay. We won't go through all of them today, but some of them for sure. Okay, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about tener as this kind of hangnail. It's going to feel a little bit like a hangnail, but tener. Tener is both used to say somebody physically owns something. Or, we talk about like what color eyes they have, what color hair they have, whether I have a cup, whether I have a mouse, un raton, anything that talks about owning stuff uses tener. Okay,
Mhm.
so, but tener is also going to have another little hangnail aspect to it. Okay, so first we're going to review a little bit more in depth what these forms of tener are. Tener, yo tengo, tú tienes, to talk to somebody in a friendly way, right? That tú, the friendly you. Él tiene, he has. Ella tiene, she has. Usted tiene, you, the polite you have, right? We use usted when we don't know somebody well enough to call them by their first name. Nosotros tenemos, we have. Okay? We have. Vosotros is only used in Spain, so tenéis, but you won't hear any Latin American using that ever, ever, ever. And then the plural forms, which are ellos tienen, ellas tienen, ustedes tienen, you guys have, or they have, right? And what I want you to notice is that when you're talking to somebody using the friendly you, it's always going to end in an S. All the verbs are going to do that. When we talk about a we form of a verb, it's always going to end in a mos. And the vowel in front of the mos will shift. Depending on what kind of verb, it will change depending on what kind of verb it is. But mos is always a tag. Oh, they're talking about we. We're doing something. And the the N at the end of a verb will always mean more than one person is doing something. Okay, that is those little tiny clues are in colors because they're clues. Yeah, they're clues to help you kind of navigate that very, very troublesome world of verbs. It is troublesome for English speakers. We say have and has. Boom, that's it, right? But we have all these different forms. So we have to look at who's doing that action of having something, right? And the verb tells the story. If I have it, tengo. If you have it, tienes. If one person has it, tiene. If a bunch of people have it, I just take tiene, I slap a n on the end, tienen. And if I want to say we have, if I put myself in a group, then it's tenemos. Yeah? But besides having things, tener will serve other functions. And we're going to take a look at what some of those other functions are. Sometimes tener just does talk about stuff we have. Tengo un carro. I have a car. Okay, yeah, that's easy. Mi familia tiene un perro. My family has a
dog.
dog. Okay, yeah. But sometimes there are many, many common expressions which we call idioms. I'm going to throw a little grammar term in here. Idioms. Idioms are just special expressions that cannot be translated. That's what an idiom means. It is a special expression that uses a special sequence of words, and they have a special meaning that cannot be translated word for word. Tener is a very famous verb in Spanish for being used in many idioms. And some of these idioms have to do with when we talk about people having a certain sensation, a physical or emotional sensation. But the key is, just like ser can mean am, is, are, estar can mean am, is, are, tener sometimes in these specific idioms will be translated as am, is, are. Even though tener does not mean am, is, are. It means I have, you have, he has, they have. Okay, so tener does not mean I am, or he is, or they are. But in English, we would use those words sometimes with these idioms. So, okay, you'll get the meaning pretty soon. If you want to say a human being, a person, is hot or cold, they feel hot or they feel cold because of the temperature outside, because of the weather, right? We use tener with calor to be hot and tener with frío to be cold. I'm going to pause and tell you how important this is in a minute. Okay, we're going to look at the examples first. Tener calor means to be hot, to feel hot because of the weather. Okay, tener frío, to feel cold because of the weather. It does not talk about the temperature of my drink. This talks about human beings, or your dog, or your horse if you have a horse, yeah? Living beings, okay? So let's look at the examples, why we use these. Tengo calor en agosto. Wow, I feel
Hot enough.
yeah.
Hot in
August.
August.
So in English, you might say, I'm hot in August, or I feel hot in August, but we have to use tener, tengo calor. Literally, I have heat. And nobody in English would say, I have heat. You would say, I'm hot. Okay?
Yeah.
Or maybe I feel hot. But it's really important with this word calor to talk about yourself that you say, tengo calor, or we're hot, tenemos calor. Yeah, right? Or are you hot? Tienes calor. Wow, are you hot? ¿Tienes calor? Yo sí, tengo calor. Wow, I'm really hot. Yeah, okay. Let's look at the opposite. Tengo frío en diciembre. I'm cold in December. Now,
December.
this talks about people or animals, if you have pets, maybe, okay, yeah. Here's something really important for you to know. You might say, well, I'm not always hot. I'm not always cold. If I want to say I'm hot, maybe I'll just use that temporary estar verb and say, estoy calor. You cannot do that. You cannot even change that word calor. First of all, calor is a noun technically. But never, 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 never say estoy caliente. People heard the word caliente and they think, oh, that means hot. Like el café está caliente. It's perfectly okay to say el café está caliente. The coffee is hot, a changeable condition. That's okay. It is not okay to say estoy caliente, because what that really means is I am horny. So don't ever use estar with caliente to talk about yourself. You can talk about your coffee with está caliente, okay? But never, never, never use estoy caliente because you're saying I'm horny and people will think, wow, what a weirdo. He's talking about this publicly and we're sitting at a bus stop. And they'll inch away from you ever so slowly. Do not have to be near you. Why is this person I don't know out of the blue talking about this? Okay. You see what I mean? If you feel hot, it's tengo calor. Boom. That's the only way you can say it, to talk about a human being. Okay? Bien. Muy importante, really important.
Mhm.
Because English speakers make that mistake, and then people look at them like, oh, what a weirdo. Okay. Here's something you don't expect. A tener idiom is tener with a number and años. To be a certain number of years old. We say, I am 60, she is 20, he is 35, but we don't use ser or estar for that. We use tener, right? Because literally in Spanish, someone has a number of years, literally.
Mhm.
Okay, but we can't translate it word for word. So, Roberto tiene 10 años. Roberto is 10. Okay, or he is 10
Right.
years old. Okay. We use tener, another tener idiom is using it with hambre, hunger, or sed, thirst. So, to be hungry, to be thirsty. If I looked at this little picture down here, él tiene hambre, he's hungry. If I look at this little picture here, ella tiene sed, she is thirsty, right? We use tener with the word sueño, which means sleepiness, also means dreams. We use it to say someone has sleepiness, that well, in English we say they are sleepy. Ella tiene sueño, she is sleepy, okay? So tener is used with a lot of these nouns, actually, these are all nouns. Tiene hambre, tiene sed, tiene sueño. But we often use is sleepy, is hungry, okay? In Spanish, they have to use tener for those. And there are a whole bunch of others. These, I would say, are maybe a little less, maybe like a second tier down of importance, okay? Tener cuidado, to be careful, literally to have care. Tener suerte, literally to have luck, but to be lucky.
Mhm.
Tener razón, to be right, to be correct, okay? Tener miedo, to have fear. Literally, people say they have fear. We say that someone is afraid or is scared. Tener prisa, to be in a hurry, okay? So, we've got some little examples here. Tengo mucho cuidado con el carro. I'm very careful with the car.
The car.
Tengo suerte con la lotería. I'm lucky at
Lottery.
lotto, yeah. Papá no tiene razón. Dad is not
Right.
right, yeah. Come live in my house for a while. Ella tiene miedo a las serpientes. She is scared of
Snakes.
snakes. Sí. Mira la hora. Tengo prisa. Look at the time. I'm in a hurry.
Hurry.
Okay.
Tengo
So-
prisa.
Send you this little block here. Actually, a lot of these are things you've already seen, but you know, the tail end has your tener idioms. So just kind of start to get used to that a little bit. Okay, yeah. And again, the more you hear it and more examples you hear, the easier it will become. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, vale. Let's take a look at la casa.
La casa.
La casa. Okay, yeah. Vamos a hablar de la casa. We're going to talk about the house. We're going to talk about some examples here. And then maybe if you have an example, you can share it after we have a warm up of talking about some other stuff. Because the more examples you hear, easier it will be for you to do your own examples. La casa y los cuartos. Cuartos. Cuarto can have many meanings, but cuartos in this means rooms. Rooms, okay? Cuartos. And our English word quarters, like you know, you would quarter soldiers, meaning you would house them, yeah? Or soldiers have quarters, places where they sleep, yeah, and live on base. our idea of quarters in that sense comes from this word cuartos way long ago in Latin. Okay. Y unos ejemplos. Okay. Now, so let's start off with this. Depending on the country and depending sometimes on the region inside of the country you're in, different regions tend to like different words for bedroom. But across the board, no matter what word somebody likes to use in their country, they understand all these words. Okay, they understand all of them. They know they mean bedroom. But people may tend to use one word more than another in different countries. So just so no, there are variations. So people might use el dormitorio. Okay, repitan por favor, el dormitorio.
El dormitorio.
Dormitorio.
Now, English speakers like this word because it sounds like dormitory,
Dormitory.
where students sleep. So they say, "Ah, I automatically have an easier time remembering what that word means," but that may not be the most commonly used word. People may just use el cuarto to talk about a bedroom. It can also mean a room in general. And in a hotel setting, this word usually is also super, super common. La habitación.
La habitación.
La
Habitación.
habitación. And notice, because we don't pronounce the H, the H, right? La habitación, when you say it all together, the A from la slides into the habitación. That's, yeah,
La
la
habitación.
habitación. La habitación.
Habitation.
La
Okay.
habitación.
I prefer this word, la habitación. I prefer this word, but I would say in general, if you're in a hotel setting, these will be the two most common. En mi opinión, in my opinion, okay? In my opinion. This word I think you hear from time to time in Spain, la alcoba. I don't hear it so much. I think that is falling into this. Well, it's probably wrong to say it's falling into disuse. In some place they like it, but you know, I would say these are the top three, and I would say these are the top two, and there are even a couple more beyond that. But let's take a look. El cuarto. ¿Cómo se llama? What's it called? ¿Cómo se llama?
La Saya?
La
Se llama La
sala.
sala. La sala.
Es la sala. Let's take a look at la sala, and we're going to combine some of these four verbs, ser, estar, tener, and hay, to talk about rooms in a house, okay? La sala tiene un sofá grande. The
Has a
living
large-
room
Has a large sofa.
Big
Has
sofa.
large sofa.
has a big
Mhm.
sofa. Okay. And now I can drop the word la sala because you know I'm talking, continuing on about la sala. Okay. And I can just drop it and use the verb. Tiene dos ventanas. It has two
Two
Window.
windows.
windows. It has. Tiene dos lámparas.
2 lamps.
2 lamps.
It has two lamps. Tiene dos mesitas.
Coffee table?
Mesa,
that is.
mesa es table. Ita makes it
Mhm.
small.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
2 small
Mesita
tables.
would be like a side table.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Por ejemplo, es una mesita. Yeah. It's not a big sit down and have your dinner there. It's, yeah, a small table. Okay. Tiene dos mesitas. La sala está en el primer piso
First
de
floor.
la casa.
It was in the
The
first floor.
living room
First floor.
is on the first floor.
First floor.
Primer piso, first floor. Okay.
Okay.
De la casa. And está en, automatically that word en is telling me location is in or on. And we wouldn't say in the first floor, we would say on the first floor, right? En might be in, might be on. La sala está en el primer piso de la casa. Bien, okay. En el primer piso. Piso is a floor. Like when you talk about levels, yeah, how many floors are in a building. Okay. ¿Qué es? What is it? ¿Qué es? What is it?
Dormitorio.
Habitaciones.
Es.
Bedroom.
This has many names, right?
Dormitorio.
Es el dormitorio.
Dormitorio.
Habitación.
Es la habitación. I could even say es el cuarto, right? Es el cuarto. Okay. Es muy grande. It's very
Large.
Big.
Large.
big.
Yeah.
Es muy moderna.
Modern.
Es modern. Tiene una cama.
Bed.
A
It
bed.
has a bed.
Mhm.
I might say, hay una cama, there's a bed. Or I might say, tiene una cama, it has a bed. I could say
Mhm.
either sentence. Yeah. I could just
Mhm.
say, oh, a bed's, it's located, it's there. It's not located, but it's there. Hay una cama, there's a bed, or tiene una cama, it has a bed. Hay dos mesitas.
Small
Two-
tables.
There are two tables.
Mhm.
Hay dos lámparas.
There's
Two lamps.
There are
Mhm.
two lamps. Está en el segundo piso. It's on the
It's on the
Second floor.
second floor.
second floor. Okay. Bien. Bueno, el dormitorio, el cuarto, la habitación. Any of those words can work for that. Okay. ¿Qué es? What is this?
Kitchen.
La cocina.
Cocina.
Kitchen, la cocina. Sí. Okay. Hay dos sillas en la cocina.
Stools. or-
Chairs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Chairs, well, we're using chairs for now. Taburete would be stool, but see, a place to sit down, yeah? Silla is the easiest word for you to learn right now. Hay dos sillas, two chairs, okay? Hay dos sillas en la cocina, in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Hay una puerta. There's a
Door.
One
One
door.
door.
Mhm.
Tiene dos ventanas.
Two
Add-
windows.
Or two windows.
It
Windows.
has two windows. Okay. And now let's dig a little deeper because I'm talking about la cocina and it's a feminine thing. I'm going to
Mhm.
show you what happens. And this is something you're going to work harder on this coming week, but it's kind of a preview context example.
Mhm.
When I talk about la cocina, because it is a feminine thing, a thing of the feminine gender, the describing words, the adjectives, that means the words that describe it,
Mhm.
have to go into a feminine form because it's a feminine noun. Okay. So if I want to say it's black and white, or white and black, la cocina es blanca y negra. Yeah. La cocina es blanca y negra. It's white and black. Okay. Those are the predominant colors, let's say. And I couldn't say la cocina está blanca y negra. Yeah. Yeah. The colors in there are part of what, and those are identifying characteristics of what it, that you see that right away. Yeah.
Mhm.
I can't just change it to a different color like that. I can't use está. It's es, right?
Okay.
Es moderna. It's
Modern.
Modern.
y tiene una nevera grande. And nevera, fridge.
Oh,
Fridge.
refrigerator.
Tiene una nevera grande. It has a
Large refrigerator.
large refrigerator, a big refrigerator. Y un horno moderno and a modern horno oven.
Is oven?
Oven, yeah.
Oh,
Oven.
okay.
Okay. But now notice, if I'm saying a modern oven, now I've got a new noun, horno.
Horno.
Yeah. And so moderno is talking about horno, not cocina. So yeah, horno moderno, modern oven. Modern is talking about oven, not about la cocina in this example. Okay, so you see how these description words we call adjectives are going to start to change forms. They look at and depend upon and coordinate with the thing they're talking about, okay, when we talk about gender. Okay, so keep that in mind in your back pocket. You know, you'll see more of that later this week. Oh, ¿qué es? What is it? ¿Qué es?
El baño.
El baño.
El baño. Es un baño. It's a bathroom. Es el baño. Es el baño. El baño, oh, it's a masculine thing. El baño es blanco y grande. It's
White and big.
White and
white
large.
and big. You know, the color hits you first is white, right? Es blanco y grande. Tiene una ducha. It has a
Shower.
shower. Ducha es
okay.
shower. Tiene una ducha. Hay también just means also. Hay también bañera. It also has a bathtub.
Bathtub.
Bañera es bathtub. Now let's talk about some other little things in the bathroom. Hay dos toallas en el baño. There are two
Towels.
towels. And I'm just saying those towels, they exist. They're just in there. Hay dos toallas. If you go into your hotel room and there are no towels, you would go down to la recepción, the lobby, and you would say, no hay toallas. See?
Necesito.
Sí, no hay toallas. There are no hay toallas. Yeah. Necesito dos toallas, por favor. I need 2 towels, please. So, okay. Let's have one other little hangnail thing. If you're talking about the bathroom, how they express that might be different. And now I'm going to tell you, actually, even in English-speaking countries, that might be different. Yeah. You go to England, and if you're asking for the bathroom, you might ask for the loo. You might ask for the WC. You might ask for the water closet. Yeah, okay. Let's think about this. When you're in a public space, just be aware that there might be nuances. Now, I have heard people in Spain just flat out asking in a restaurant, ¿Dónde está el baño? Where's the bathroom? But I know sometimes in some places in Mexico, people get kind of a funny look with that. Even some places in Spain, I've gotten a funny look when people have said baño. Okay, just know that baño, some people interpret that as it has a bathtub in it. Why in the restaurant would I have a room that has a bathtub in it? Okay, so now somebody will totally understand you if you ask, ¿Dónde está el baño? Where's the bathroom? And notice, if you are asking for the public restroom, it might be a different word that has more of a restroom connotation. Just like we in English have that restroom special word, right, for a public place. And notice, está, you want to know where it's located. So you don't say ¿Dónde es? You ask ¿Dónde está? Where is? ¿Dónde means where. ¿Dónde está el baño? But this is a nice, safe way to really indicate restroom. ¿Dónde están los servicios? Where are the services? That is like a super, los servicios is a really polite term that is the equivalent of restroom, okay? But donde estaba el baño, people will know what you mean. Some people might think it's a little odd. In Spain, they like the word aseos. Aseos means neat rooms. Neat room. Well, you go there to get neat, I guess. Yeah. To tidy up. Yeah. ¿Dónde están los aseos? I wouldn't use aseos in Mexico. I would not. But in some places in Mexico, you can even just ask, ¿dónde está el cuarto de hombres? Where's the men's room? We say men's room. Sometimes they say men's room. Or el cuarto de caballeros. Okay. And ladies' room. ¿Dónde está el cuarto de damas? Next time you go into a Mexican restaurant here in the Phoenix area, in some Mexican restaurants, you'll see damas, caballeros, or damas, hombres. And those will be the little signs on the door. Damas is for ladies, yeah? Caballeros is gentlemen. Hombres is men. So just know, in a public restroom setting, they might not use el baño. They might use something else. Okay?
Okay.
Bien?
Bien.
Bueno, okay, vale. Do you have any little descriptions to talk about your house?
I do.
Okay, Kevin, empieza, start.
Okay. Tengo una casa con 11 cuartos. Tengo 4 dormitorios y 2 baños. En mi casa hay una sala, una cuarto familia, una cocina, un comedor y un cuarto de lavado.
Okay.
También un patio con una chimenea y una piscina. Y también un garaje para 2 autos.
Bien. Un garaje, sí.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mi garaje. Wow, qué ejemplo maravilloso. What a great, wow. Sí, sí. Yo tengo también un garaje para 2 vehículos, 2 carros, ¿sí? Porque yo tengo un carro normal y un camión. Un camión muy grande. Truck.
Truck.
Tengo un camión. Tengo un camión para transportar mis bicicletas.
Oh, okay.
Yes, to transport the bicycle, yeah.
Entonces yo tengo un garaje para 2 carros. Sí, bien, bien. Excelente, excelente, Kevin. Bien. Otro ejemplo. Anybody else want to give some examples?
I can go.
Okay, vale. Magnífico.
My casa está en un buen barrio. Tengo una chimenea
Chimenea.
en la
Fireplace.
sala de estar. Tengo 4 habitaciones y una oficina.
Bien.
Tengo una piscina.
Oh, tienes una piscina. Ricardo,
Oh,
¿es
piscina.
una piscina grande o es una piscina pequeña? ¿Es grande o es pequeña?
Grande, right?
Grande, bien.
Piscina is pool.
Piscina es pool.
Pool, okay.
Piscina.
Donde se nada, where you swim. Sí, la piscina. Yo no tengo piscina. No tengo piscina en mi casa. A mi esposo, my husband, no le gusta tener piscina. La piscina usa mucha agua. No quiero pagar por el agua en la piscina.
Ajá.
Yo no nado and I don't swim. Entonces, no quiero piscina. Ok. Bien, ok. Bueno, Pam, ¿quieres hablar un poquito de tu casa?
Okay. Mi casa tiene 10 cuartos. Tengo 3 habitaciones y 3 baños.
Bien.
En mi casa hay una sala grande, pero está ruidoso.
Ruidoso.
Pero tengo patio muy bonito y tengo piscina. And I wanted to say, en la cocina,
Sí.
mi nevera y mi horno no es moderna.
Oh, no son modernos. No son.
No son modernas.
No son modernos.
No,
Sí.
no.
Mi nevera no es moderna. Mi horno no es moderno. Tengo una, sí, necesito renovar mi cocina. Pero cuesta mucho.
Son 20 años.
Oh, sí, la mía también. Mi nevera tiene como 25 años. Mi nevera tiene 25 años. Es antigua. Es antigua. Es beyond vieja, beyond old, antigua. Bien, pero funciona, but it works. Okay, bien. Para que sepan, so that you know, and I'm going to show you the page for this so that you know how to find it at a later time. When you want to look up words to describe things, this site, which is called wordreference.com. Wordreference.com. Yeah, it's an online dictionary that is so good because it gives you context, examples in context. And I want to show you that there is another word for piscina. Piscina is a very widely used word, but because we live so close to Mexico and because we have lots of neighbors who might be from Mexico or workers who are from Mexico, or maybe landscape people who also service your pool, a lot of Mexicans refer to pool, piscina, as alberca. So don't be surprised if you hear a different word, alberca, I've got it in yellow, alberca, used for pool by Mexicans. One of the slightly frustrating, I will say, things about Spanish is that because there are 21 countries, there are many words that are just more commonly used. Food is one of the most notorious things in Spanish for having different names. There are like 7 or 8 different terms used for the word popcorn.
Oh my.
Depending on the country you're in. And people in one country will say, you use that word for popcorn? We don't use that. Or the word for straw is different. And so just know. It happens, but just relax with it. People will tell you. But the wonderful thing about word reference, actually, I want to show you one other wonderful thing about word reference. The other wonderful thing is that it gives you context. I wonder if I can make this bigger. See. You know how sometimes pool has one meaning where you swim? Let's go to the pool today. Vamos a nadar a la piscina. We're going to swim. But sometimes pool will mean just a body of water, like out in nature. Like you're walking. And yeah. And you know how, especially here in the Southwest, when if you go to one of the local parks and they say there's a tank, they really mean it's a pool of water that just accumulates where the animals come to drink. That's an estanque. Okay. That's an estanque. Tank. Well, where do you think that our term tank comes from? So if you go to the county parks and they say, we're having a nature walk by the tank, that's a pool where the animals come to drink. estanque. So, or charco, a little puddle of water. Yeah, it's a pool of
Oh.
water, but it's not big where animals come to all drink. It's a little puddle that forms like on your
Mhm.
driveway or in your backyard.
Mhm.
That is called charco. But notice you always get a context sentence, so you know which meaning it is. Un charco de agua de lluvia se formó en la acera, a pool of rainwater collected on the pavement. So the reason that is a really great thing for you to use is that when a word has more than one definition, they'll show you in context how it is
Mhm.
used, so you know if you got the right word. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, in English, we notoriously have a lot of words like that. Bark is the stuff on a tree or the sound a dog makes. Yeah.
Right.
And you
Mhm.
got to know the context in which it is used. Okay. What I am going to give you, actually, I think you already have this, right? Sí, correcto. Okay.
Sí.
Just keep that. I may resend the link to it in case somebody lost it, especially if they're re-watching. But you're going to have, I want you to take a look at the next couple of photos and see if you can describe, use different things to talk about those rooms. Use hay or tener or a form of ser or a form of estar to talk about the room or things in these rooms for next week, because you're going to get adjectives, okay, for next week. So I want you to look at the tail end of that slide set and think about, how might I talk about those rooms? Okay. And one really interesting, Richard, I think you use the el cuarto de estar. Sometimes la sala is used about like la sala de estar or el cuarto de estar, the being room, room to just hang out. Sometimes you hear that term used for living room, but sala is the shortest and easiest one to remember. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to preview some things, and you've started to preview them already, but you're going to be looking at chapter 5 next week.
Okay.
Capítulo 5. You're going to be building vocabulary, and it's called las descripciones, descriptions. And it's going to have a lot of words we call adjectives. And all that adjectives means is that they're words that describe a person or a place or thing. Adjectives describe nouns. That's all they are. Okay. Yeah. But we're going to preview. We're going to preview why adjectives can be a little tricky. So we're going to have like a double-edged sword here with adjectives. Words that describe in Spanish. You got to know the vocabulary word first. Oh, shoot. And that's what chapter 5 is going to do. It's going to give you certainly not every adjective in the world, but a lot. Okay. A number of descriptive words. Then will be colors, because colors describe. Okay. And that's going to be our kind of diving board to dive into the world. Yeah. Of adjectives, colors. And other things will be things that people use commonly, like big and small. They'll be kind of opposites of each other. Big and small, long and short, expensive and cheap, wide and narrow, new and old, pretty and ugly. And actually, pretty and ugly are important because in Spanish, whereas we tend to say ugly is an impolite word. I mean, you know, people use it, but feo is very freely used. Anytime a situation is looking bad, oh, es feo. It's ugly, right? You know,
Feo.
if you see like, if you pass on the highway and you see that there's an accident and 3 cars and it's looking kind of messy. Yeah. Ooh, es feo. Wow, that's ugly because it's a nasty thing. Yeah. So feo means ugly, literally, like not handsome, but also
Uh-huh.
feo is very, very freely used to say the situation is looking bad, man. Okay. Yeah. More so than it is in English. Okay, so we've got the one edge of the sword is, what do those adjectives mean? And you're going to learn a lot of them. And the other double-edged part of that sword is adjectives go into various forms. Okay. And that means that the adjective looks at the noun it's talking about, and it will copy or agree with the form of the noun it talks about. That means it looks at, is the noun feminine or masculine, and is the noun singular, just it's a onesie item, or is it plural? And the adjective will have to mimic or copy those forms. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a couple of things as a preview of that. And we're going to start with colors, because colors are really the easiest way to check that out. Okay, a ver. Let's check it out. And you're going to have a great video on this. And when you watch the video that corresponds to this page, I'm going to send you this page, so don't feel you have to scribble stuff down wildly. Pay attention to the video, because it is visually extremely well made to create patterns in your head about this concept of feminine and masculine, singular or plural. Here are some colors. Azul. Azul is blue.
Blue.
Okay, so yeah, the color you see, well, depending on your monitor, I guess, actually the purple one, I don't think is so great. So azul, blue. We have the word azure, which is a fancy schmancy word for blue, right? A very poetic kind of word. It comes from the same thing that azul comes from. Azul, azul. And azul is blue. The word for green, verde. Yeah.
Verde.
Biblical thing, verdant pastures. Yeah. Verdant is again a very fancy high-level English word, but verde, verde. Okay. We've got a word for brown, marron.
Marron.
Marron. Marron looks like maroon, doesn't it? Sounds like maroon.
Yeah.
Marron is brown. A little bit of cuidado, caution. Different countries use different words for brown. Marron is common in a lot of countries. In Mexico, they favor the word café.
Café. Okay.
Coffee, yeah, over marron, just so you know. Or color de café, yeah, color de café, color of coffee, or café. But in other countries, you will hear marron more than café, okay? Just so you know. Orange, anaranjado. Wow, that was painful and long. Anaranjado. Sometimes you hear that just as naranja. Naranja is literally the fruit, orange.
Okay.
Yeah. So some countries like to just use color de naranja or just naranja. Okay. And then you've got a little asterisk at the bottom of this. Oh, you'll see it when I send it as a, you can't because I've got things covering it. Yeah, there's a little asterisk at the bottom. You may hear it just as naranja or anaranjado, just so you know, okay? Here's an easy one, the next one. Yellow, amarillo.
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 Amarillo. You know a city in Texas with that color.
Amarillo.
Amarillo. But it's amarillo. Something in that landscape near Amarillo, Texas looked yellow to somebody long ago, and they just pegged it as amarillo. Okay, amarillo, yellow. Rojo, rojo,
Red.
red. Okay. Oh, pink, rosado.
Rosado.
You may hear it as just rosa. You may. Just like you may hear naranja, a little shorty word, you may hear rosa or color de rosa, you may, but rosado is also a thing. Here's the purple, and this doesn't look so great, so purple on my screen. So I'm going to point this one out. Morado.
Morado.
Morado, purple, right? Morado, purple. Sometimes you hear violeto, violet. Okay, you might hear
Violeto.
that, yeah, but morado, purple. Negro. Black.
Negro.
Gris.
Gray.
Gray.
Gris.
Yes.
Blanco.
Blanco.
White.
Blanco.
Now, obviously, there are more colors than that, but here's what we want you to notice. And visually, the video is going to show you, it's going to pair these off into different columns so that you automatically see what happens with masculine and feminine and what you see happening with singular and plural. But we're going to break this down. I want you to notice some general things. Colors that have an ending letter, if the last letter of the color is an O, that means it's going to get a distinct O form and a distinct A form for the feminine. O or A. So, amarillo might have to change into amarilla to talk about a feminine thing that is yellow. Amarilla. And then it will also, let's look at the right-hand side, get plural forms of the masculine plural and the feminine plural. Amarillos, amarillas. Okay, adjectives that end in O. Adjectives that end in O. So amarillo is one of them. Anaranjado might be one of them if you will use the long form. Anaranjado, anaranjada, the feminine form. Anaranjados, masculine and plural. Anaranjadas, feminine and plural. Okay, unless they use the shorty word of naranja. Let's look for another one that ends just in O. Rojo.
Rojo.
Red. Rojo. Rojo might have to become a feminine word. Roja.
Rojas.
Okay. Rojos. Rojas.
Rojos. Roja.
So the description, red, will look at the thing it's talking about. Red cars will become carros rojos. Yeah. But if I want to talk about t-shirts, which is feminine, camiseta, camiseta, and yeah, it's a feminine word. Camisetas rojas.
Rojas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or una silla roja, a red chair. If you have red upholstery on your chair, okay? Let's look at another adjective that ends in an O. Rosado. Rosado has a feminine form. Rosada. Rosados, the plural. Rosadas, the feminine and plural. Okay. Let's look for another one that ends in O. Morado. Morado gets a feminine form. Morada. Morados is the plural. Moradas is the plural for feminine. Negro.
Negro.
Negra.
Negras.
The masculine plural is negros. The feminine plural is negras. Okay. So, hay tres plumas negras. There are 3 black pens. Hay tres plumas negras. Pero mi celular es negro. Bien? Okay. Bien. Let's look for more adjectives. Oh, gris is now. Oh, blanco. Let's look at the tail end down the bottom. Blanco. And think of a blank sheet of paper being white. Okay. Blanco might have to become a feminine form. Blanca. It might become masculine plural. Blancos. It might become feminine plural. Blancas. Okay. And you're going to notice in the video, they're going to reinforce this by showing you all of these ones that end in O. Okay. What happens for colors is going to happen for all adjectives beyond colors. So in other words, words for happy, it's an adjective. Tall, it's an adjective. Sad, it's an adjective.
Mhm.
Thin, it's any word that describes is an adjective. Okay, so beyond colors, these same rules will apply to all adjectives, even if they're not colors. Okay, let's take a look. What if an adjective, a describer, does not end in o? Does not end in o. Okay. If that is the case, like azul, last letter is an L. We use azul for both feminine and masculine. I don't have to change it, azul, but I might have to make it plural. And I make it plural just like I did for nouns. Azules. ES at the end. But no separate feminine form. Oh, okay. Let's look at verde, green. Doesn't end in O. Verde is used for la casa verde, greenhouse. El carro verde, green car. Verde is the same for masculine, the same for feminine.
Mhm.
But I might
Okay.
have to make it plural. And the way I make it plural is just slap an S on the end, just like I did with nouns. Verdes. Okay. Marrón does not end in an O. So marrón, I can use it for both feminine and masculine. But to make it plural, I've got to slap on an ES, like with azul. Marrones, marrones. Okay. Let's check down. We got to go all the way down to gris. Gris. Gris is the same for feminine. It's the same for masculine. To make it plural, I just put an ES on the end because I can't have GRISS. Double S
Yeah.
never happens in Spanish. Double S can't happen. It has to be ES. Grises. Grises. Okay.
Grises.
Bien? Vale?
Bien.
So that is what is going to happen. You are going to see a video that shows you that. And these, how she visualizes this for you will become important because it will visually help you to kind of segregate these into the O camps or the doesn't end in O camp where, I don't have to worry about masculine or feminine. I just worry about onesie or twosie. Yeah. Bien?
Mhm.
And it'll help you with that. You will also see, momento. So that is going to be a super helpful introduction in the little worksheet on adjectives. You're going to see a piece down below, and it's going to ask you to practice some things. You may want to try that. It'll talk about like, describe a flag, describe tomatoes, describe what color is Homer Simpson, describe what color is Marge Simpson's hair. So it'll ask you, so play with that, play with it. And we'll see what the answers are next week. See? Bien? So that'll be your little introduction to adjectives, chapter 5. I will have to send you the audio. So you're going to get a link that'll have all the audio links in it, right? And you look for the little blue tab in the book and it tells you, play audio number 1, play audio number 2, etc. And they're all short audio links. Okay, todo bien? All good?
Yes.
Todo bien, all good. Okay. La semana que viene, next week, you're gonna look at, see if you can tackle that little adjective page. You're gonna look at those little rooms and maybe talk about colors in the rooms, or kind of furniture in the rooms, or is it big? Is it small? Is it, what's it like? Big. So descriptions, we're going to think about descriptions and describe things. You may even want to bring some little item and talk about what color it is or what size it is next week. Por ejemplo, for example, see, es una botella, it's a bottle. Es una botella azul, it's a blue
bottle.
bottle. Sí,
Yeah.
es una botella de agua. Sí, para castigar a los gatos. This is for punishing them. Because last week he stepped on my keyboard and turned everything off in the middle of a meeting. Castigar, punish. Yeah, okay, because you don't hit animals. Get them wet. And they get the message pretty quickly. Okay.
I have one of those for my dog.
Bien, bien, bien. ¿Todo bien? All good?
Sí.
Good.
Okay.
Bien. Bien.
Capítulo 5, chapter 5, lots of helpful describing words. Okay, entonces, eso es todo. That's it. And we'll see you next week. Nos vemos la semana que viene. We'll see you next week. See? Feliz Dia de Muertos. Happy Day of the Dead. Today is the start of that Mexican celebration. Yeah. Mexico and Central America celebrate Day of the Dead. I used to give my teenage students assignments to talk about grandmas and grandpas and great grandpas who had passed on before. Yeah. So day to remember all of our family people today. It's actually a happy holiday for them. Okay. Entonces, nos vemos, ¿no?
Okay, gracias.
Hasta luego.
Miranda.
Adiós.
Hasta luego.
Okay.